Hello, everyone. Welcome into a bonus episode of the Four Quarters podcast powered by Four Quarters Media. I'm your host, Tyler Bennett, with you once again. Bonus episodes, we're going to run wherever we want, really. It's a bonus episode. Put it out whenever we can. But we've got at least one scheduled for every week in the month of June to try and get as many stories from players and coaches, whoever out there as we can. We have our regularly scheduled CCAA episodes out on Mondays, U Sports episodes on Thursdays. Those are going to continue to run without stopping, without any hesitation. But we're going to add in these little bonus episodes to kind of mix things up and just get as many stories and perspectives out there as we can. Today's bonus episode is one that I've been looking forward to. We caught up with this person in the first ever episode of the podcast back on January 13th. So a few months have gone by since then. A lot has changed in the world, both basketball-wise and just in general. The world is a much different place than it was in January. Let's just leave it at that. So I was very happy to catch up again with Jason Watts from the Lambton Lions. It's a little bit easier, like I've said before, working at Lambton. You have these connections already built, but it was great to catch up with Watts and hear what he's been up to since the season ended, kind of look back at his 3-year career as a Lion, where he has progressed, what he looks back on as some of his fondest memories in the Lambton uniform, some of the best players he's played against. Also looked at what he's up to now, helping with the COVID-19 pandemic. He's working in the hospitals as a transporter, so we talked about that, kind of what he's doing to play his role in helping fight the battle against COVID-19. We looked at the tournament, the 2020 OCAA Men's Basketball Championship, which was hosted by Lambton. Kind of looked at his thoughts on how it ended, how it all played out. Obviously not the way the Lions hoped, bowing out in the quarterfinals on their home floor after a really strong first half against a very talented George Brown team. So we looked at that, and we talked about his 40-point effort on senior night against Sheridan, which is no easy feat to begin with, in what was an emotional final home weekend for the Lions against Humber and Sheridan. 2 games that you got to bring your best to beat 2 of the best in the OCAA, and the Lions did that. So we got Watts, looked at his emotions and what was going through his mind as he was getting towards that 40-point mark and ending his home regular season career on the highest of highs for him. So with that in mind, we're going to jump right in. Here's the chat that I had with former Lambton Lions forward Jason Watts from start to finish, hearing anything and everything about his career over 3 years as a Lion. Enjoy. All right, so we are now joined by the inaugural guest from back in January, former Lambton Lions forward Jason Watts. Jason, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you, man?
Doing all right. It's good to have you back on. It's good to see a friendly face again. When the season ended, everything just kind of stopped. We got kicked out of the school. You essentially got kicked out of Canada. Now you've been in America for 3 months without coming back. It's we try not to take it personally, but I'm going to. How have things been since you've been back home and dealing with the pandemic, the COVID-19? Just how have things been?
This is a crazy thing, because I was at school and 24 hours after Rudy Gobert tested positive, it was like everything started shutting down almost immediately. So it was like, okay, everything just kind of spiraled down. And then when I heard the border was closed, I was like, okay, let me pack much of my stuff and go home. I had to leave a bunch of stuff there. So I took what I needed and just went home. But it's been crazy because, since I've been home, just kind of just like it took me a couple of weeks to get going because, I had to still, make sure I'm working out and things. So I just kind of I have a rim outside, a weight room in the basement, treadmill, and a couple of things. So once I figured out how to work out outside, I just kind of just stuck with it.
What have we talked a bit before we came on too about your workouts and stuff at home. How have you been able to kind of stay in shape and kind of keep yourself ready for who knows whenever this ends? This is going to hopefully end at some point.
Right.
And people are going to be playing basketball again, wherever that may be. How have you been able to try and keep yourself as game ready as you can with the changes you've had to make at home?
Well, the thing about it is, right after the season ended, I didn't really take a break. I went right to it and just got right to work. So I didn't really wait to, start making sure I'm staying in shape. Once I got home and started to figure it out, running outside, treadmill, weights, rowing machine. I got all that stuff downstairs, and I have a rim and a ball. It's just as long as I got an area to work, I'll figure it out. It's just been, my mom and my dad, obviously, they've been helping as much as they can too. Making sure I'm studying film still, just making it as in-game workout, like game speed workouts as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So,
has your mom challenged you to one-on-one yet?
No, but you know what she does? She takes this pad, or downstairs in the basement, she'll set up cones and we'll do like different workout stuff. And at the end, like I'm getting ready for conference, she'll throw we have a heavy bag downstairs to like throw it at me.
She's just chucking heavy bags at you, 50-pound heavy bags.
Yeah. Or like when we're outside and I'm driving, she'll just kind of just throw some contact at me a little bit. So we're keeping it in game, and then she'll make me do a lot of footwork and stuff like that. So because she used to do dance, like serious intensity. So footwork and stuff like that, I get from her, and then the contact, and Dad kind of just sits there and he watches and he tells me certain things I'm not doing, what I need to do better.
My money is 100% on your mother.
Oh, she's gonna
without
win.
a doubt.
100%.
She's a sleeper. I think she's a true dark horse sleeper. Silent assassin.
You remember she taught me how to dunk the basketball, so
That's true.
That
is very true. You put a few people on posters this year, but I think if she had her chance, she would be on hers in a heartbeat.
I move.
She would dunk on you.
Absolutely. Like George Mondrian.
And then your dad would just sit back there just
clapping away.
Slow clapping and telling what you did wrong.
Absolutely.
Hype her up and knock you down at the same time. Looking back at kind of your last year, we talked back in January, so you were halfway done your 5th year.
Right.
Now it's done. Mm-hmm. It's all over. Have you taken any of the last 2.5, 3 months to kind of look back and reflect on your 3 years at Lambton and what you've been able to achieve and accomplish over those years?
You know what? What makes it so hard to do that, and I still haven't watched anything I have played for Lambton. And before anybody, looks at this and be like, wait a minute. Well, we just played 3 years here. That last game we played against George Brown and losing at home in the first round pains me to this day. And I'm still I'm actually very furious still about it to this day. And that I carry that with my workouts a little bit because, I gave everything I had and it wasn't enough. We were at home. We had everything going our way and we did not execute to win that game. And that, like I said, that sticks with me because there was nothing that they were the better team and they ended up winning the whole thing. So that has made it hard for me to find a positive. But I reflect on a lot of things, how much effect a lot of guys have had. More so first, second, all 3 years have been special. Yep. But, that game made it really hard for me to really look at, the good things because it ended on such a terrible note. Not terrible, but like a pretty one that sticks with you.
Yeah, because you guys came out that game strong. You had a big shot at half to extra momentum. The fans were into it. Right. I don't know what it was with that George Brown team. They were so strong defensively all year, and that out of halftime they flicked a switch of some sort and found the rhythm on offense and kept you guys off kilter on the other end. Yeah. And just that combination, I don't know what it was. And then, but is there any kind of consolation, I guess, for lack of a better term, that knowing that the team that beat you out ended up winning it all?
Well, I think what angers me with that, and it makes it hard for me to find any positive in that, is that we had them down at half and defeated.
Yeah.
We had them down on the ground, defeated, arguing against each other, and we had them in our hands at the half point. But, they had a good second half game plan. They completely – and I'll give them credit for it. I did end up doing fairly well in the game, like individually, but as a team, they kind of took me out of the game on offense. There was nothing I could do to help. So it was like, we haven't dealt with that all year. It was like, okay, now the guy that we, can go to and stuff like that isn't really available because they've kind of made it impossible. And then Fields did a great job leading their defensive end.
Yep. The East Defensive Player of the Year for a reason, and then whatever little adjustments they made in that halftime, that 15 minutes,
it made a difference.
that third quarter was the difference at the end of the day.
I think we scored single digits. I think
Yep.
it was like 20-9.
Yeah.
And
They kicked it up another notch on both ends, and
yeah,
I mean, it's one side of it. It's nice to end your career on your home floor in front of your home fans. Not many people get to do that, but at the same time, having the first half you guys did, and then the second half
going wrong,
going the complete opposite direction, it kind of leaves a bitter aftertaste.
And we had a game plan for them not to, because they weren't shooting. They don't shoot the basketball very well.
No.
That wasn't their strength. Their strength was to get inside, bang you down. They didn't get a chance to bang us down, so they started shooting and making. Everybody who can't shoot on their teammates' shots, there's nothing you can do about that.
You made them. You live and die by them hitting their shots. You take your chances and take away the inside and force them to beat you from the outside, and they hit shots. And Kingsley, beast inside. He did his thing, but he could also shoot a bit, kind of like you do. And you see Calderick Campbell, shoot well all tournament long. Fields hit a few shots. Nassim Berry, I think, is going to be a big name.
Yeah,
going into year 2, year 3, a stretch big who can shoot. It's put some muscle on that man. Good luck.
Right.
He's scrawny right now, kind of like me, but much taller and far more talent than I will ever have in my life.
Sure.
But put muscle on him, my goodness. That team has talent. But you like you said, you had a game plan. Make them. You kind of got to live with the fact that if they hit shots, they're going to hit them. Take away their strengths and make them beat you, and they
just by something that they don't do.
They rose to the occasion. They hit shots.
Yeah,
can't fault them for that, but I mean, it leaves a bitter aftertaste at the end of it. Looking before we got to the tournament, your last home game against Sheridan, coming off an emotional win against Humber the night before. Darius Canty floater off the backboard at the buzzer, win by 2.
You don't know how many times I've seen him do that in practice.
You think that's the peak?
Yeah.
Next night or next day, even you go for 40, and when you're at 37, everybody's getting you the ball. Yeah, just trying, and you are gassed. Yeah, it's like Michael in The Last Dance, the end of his career, just exhausted. Right. You hit 40. Yeah. You waving your hand, subbed out, you're done. What was going through your mind when the crowd goes nuts when you hit that 40 and you were going off for the last time at home in a regular season game? What were the emotions kind of going through your mind?
Do you want to know something funny about that 40 points is that I didn't even care. I wasn't even looking at the board until I seen everybody jumping around and looking. I look at the scoreboard. I'm like, is that 37? I'm like, oh, that's what everybody – and the thing was I was more so focused on just playing that I don't think I looked at the board at any point before that until I seen that 37. I really seen everybody else's reaction. We hadn't got a win versus Sheridan, I think, since I'd been there. Okay. And not,
or at home. You guys beat them. You guys beat them on their barn too, right? By 1.
And those 2 games, beating Sheridan twice, is something I've never gotten a chance to do, which was huge. And that game was special because playing against a very scary backcourt tandem in Jalen Edwards and Nick Campbell. Shouts to them. They did it consistently for years, won national title, and it was just like playing against them and trying to match them. And I'm not even guarding them or anything, or some possessions are not, just to pull out that 40 points out of my. That was a game I think I had where I gave everything. I think I used everything I had as far as moves. Anything I had in my game, I had to use it. And that was the first time I had gotten a chance, really, where things really went right. Nothing's ever went right like that. That went, and I only missed 3 times. Yep.
And it was to hit 40, step back 3 on hit 40. Right. And Foot may have been on the line. We don't know. We're going to leave that up for debate. You never know.
We always got a debate. Always one. At least one.
But everybody's getting you that ball. Trying to get 40, step back 3. You can't really – I don't know if you could write that any better and have people say, okay, that's believable. No. Because I don't think you can write a 40-point performance on senior night with everybody in attendance. Place was packed.
At home.
You have your big heads around in the stands, and
yeah,
I think that was like a storybook ending for a home career, I would say.
It was nice to be able to do that for my mom and my dad, you know, and then hearing what Coach Grant had to say, because everybody knows me, you know, me and his relationship is second to none, you know, but having everybody, you know, my team is the team I had, especially everybody on that roster, you know, whether we got along, whether we did, whether we didn't outside of that court, you know, I'm grateful for everybody on that team in that locker room for how they, you know, how happy that, not even just how happy they were, but how they looked out, you know, that night, you know, how happy it was to see everybody happy for me. But, you know, because like I said, I'm not going to make that. It's impossible to say I'm not going to make that 40.9 about me, but it was nice to know that how much everybody really, you know, supported me and wanted me to be, you know, because you never know how people feel.
And
you know, you never know.
You saw it from the start of the game too, right? With the pregame ceremony, with walking you out, everybody walking you out in the photo, and then went right back to the bench, and everybody's just on top of you. And you could see you're trying to keep that emotions in, and obviously it's a lot harder being last home game and the words that Coach Grant said at the start, and trying to keep it in and realize you have to play a game afterwards, and then you go do a 40-point effort, and your mom got the ball because she didn't trust you with it, and probably for the best too.
I'm still not allowed to touch it.
I wouldn't either. I would never touch that again. I wouldn't want to ruin anything you got in that.
No. But yeah, that was special because all day was emotional. I'm trying all day. I'm just like, dude, I'm walking around like a, you know, just because Lambton was home for me for the past 3 years. That's that whole, not even Lambton College, the whole Sarnia community.
Yep.
You know, kids, you know, being that's what makes it special. You know, just being able to be a part of that.
See everybody in the stands with your signs, and the Spatafora kids with your big amplified 42 fold-out sign and autographs after a game. I think that's the big testament to the impact you had, was just everybody knew you around college, knew who you were. I mean, your face was on everything, so that kind of helps a bit too. They see your face on a big poster that's 20 feet long, and that's good.
Man.
But the impact, you can see it in the fans. Like in that last game, everybody was there on their feet supporting, and then after the game, I think you must probably miss the post-game talk because you're taking photos with everybody.
Yeah.
It was celebrity.
You know, that was funny. Every game was like that. Every home game was like that. They'd have to come and get me. But you know, and the thing was, it's like, it's not about, I'm done with the game. Okay, I'm done. Oh, you guys came to see. You know, I wanted to interact with every person after the game because they take time. Their parents took time out of their day to bring their kids to come watch us all play. And it was like, the least I can do is take a photo, sign some stuff, say hi, speak, you know, making sure I'm getting everybody, because it's like I said, like parents work all day and night and are with their kids constantly. You know, they're taking the time out of their day to bring them to this, you know. So it's at least I can do is just, you know, acknowledge them, like, thank you for supporting us, you know. So
before we get into what you're doing now and kind of what's ahead for you, we asked social media for a couple questions to ask you, and two main ones that came in we've kind of touched on already a bit. First one, what was your most memorable moment over your 3 years as a Lion? And you can probably pick a few. We've already said it could be the tournament, could be your 40-point effort, could be just the fans, could be the community. I think there's a lot of ways you can go with it, but if you had to pinpoint one or a couple, favorite or most memorable moment as a Lion over the last 3 years.
My favorite moment, and it's a little religious, so I apologize if I offend anybody. My favorite moment, I think, was doing the prayer circle with Redeemer, you know, talking to Foster Brown and Jamie, and doing that 2 years in a row. Being able for us to pray together and show some unity, because it is a competitive sport, but it's not just about being competitive. It's about being a part of an you know, obviously the OCAA, and playing and competing against each other and getting that, you know, that opportunity to do that. And I think us sitting up, showing that circle, and I wish it would have gotten out more than it did, but showing that circle, like, you know what, this is more than a game. it's about us getting an opportunity to compete. But us doing that circle for the last 2 years of my career, allowing them to come to our place and, we do the prayer and then they come and do it. Like I said, I apologize if I offend anybody for that. But, that outside of basketball. But after we finish game, win, lose, or draw, we come together and say, you know what, thank you for allowing us to compete. Thank you for, so that was my favorite moment, I think, non-basketball related, because it's like, yeah, we're competing, but you don't have to hate the person you competing against just because they're not seeing it. I don't know who that message is, to me, is one of the worst messages you can send, because at the end of the day, some of the people I competed against are some of the people that I'm probably closest with to this day.
Yeah.
So
compete for the full 40 minutes, and then once that final buzzer goes, leave it on the floor, and
it's done.
It's away you go.
Exactly.
I remember watching that game against Redeemer 2 years ago, so not last season, the year before. I'd never seen them do the huddle before, or the circle around center court, and it was at Lambton before I started working there, and I was just in awe. Awesome to see, and it was like staggered. So it was Redeemer, Lambton, Redeemer, Lambton. Everybody was just kind of intermingled in one. It was fantastic to see. It caught me off guard. I didn't know. I knew they were a religious school. I knew that's what they do, or that's a terrible term.
Right.
But I didn't know that they had that after games, and it's fantastic to see everybody come together as one for a prayer, and it was awesome. No other way to say it is awesome.
They had that. Where I got the idea of us doing that, before I talked to Foster about it, was my first year when I played, when Brandon Padgett and Jason Marshall here, they did it. I'm like, we should do this for him. But obviously my first year, I don't really have much say. But I'm like, we should do this. Because it's like more teams should do it, because it's not even about the religion part. It's about, dude, we're together. We are still human beings together. So that's, I wanted to send that message too, because it is more than a game. You can
100%.
But the hatefulness, that's outside, so that's done. That needs to, so.
It's like I said, you could have had any one of probably 25, 30 memories you could have picked, and that would have been on a lot of lists. So I don't think you can go wrong with that.
Right.
You mentioned Nick Campbell already and Jamal Edwards out of Sheridan.
Yeah.
Who are some of the best guards you've ever played against in the OCAA? And you've played with a bunch as well. You mentioned Padgett and Marshall.
Yeah.
Who are the best guards that you've played against?
I'm gonna give you one. Rayvon Higdon. Rayvon Higdon is one of the – Rayvon Higdon and probably Van Hutchinson. No, actually.
You can have a lot. There's going to be a lot. The OCAA is guard heavy.
Shoot. Fields, Foster Brown, Lestracco. I could go all overboard, but Lestracco and Brown are the most – like, Lestracco is just extremely skilled. And I'm not saying this because, he's biased.
He's quiet skilled, too. Like, he doesn't really – he's not flashy. He doesn't grab all the headlines, but he goes about his business.
He doesn't force anything. His game is balanced. And, if we talk about playing against, I'm taking Lestracco and probably Higdon, because they don't force nothing.
Yep.
If you're talking about the best guards that I probably play with, it would be Cam. Cam is 18 years old, and I haven't seen – and he's quick, and he makes a decision, and he lets go of it. He has a calm about him. And obviously Brandon Padgett, who I still, friends with to this day. But so it's a few. But I like, I seen them. They just have Lestracco has this calm about him, and he doesn't really grab obviously the media or people's attention, but he's gonna. But whatever he does with the ball, it's something effective.
There's so many guards in the OCAA that I think it's hard to pick.
Yeah,
2 or 3.
Yeah,
like you've got Sheridan's crew, you've got Humber with Fozzie doing his thing, Keith to an extent too on the wing. You go to Mohawk, Jordan Martin, Daniel Graham.
Yeah.
You go out east, and you get Fields. You go Loyalist with Sarsonis off the bench. I don't know how you pick 1 or 2. I really don't.
And the backcourt. Don't forget the backcourt tandem from Seneca.
Dakota and Khalid.
Oh, my God.
Not Khalid. That's terrible.
I can't forget.
But Dakota's going to Brock, too. He's going to U Sports.
I didn't know that.
Making a jump.
Jesus.
Brock he's big. He's got size to him. He can shoot.
I also
Can
see that
drive.
Halliburton's going to I think
Guelph.
Yep.
Went to Laurentian last year, didn't play, and then goes to Guelph.
Yep.
Khalid Ismail's going to Guelph.
Yep.
OCAA making a jump, next level.
Yeah, and the talent's getting better. My first year was tough. Second year was kind of rocky because everybody was coming into their own, and initially past year was just crazy because everybody got better. Everybody got better. The ones that you were shaky about the year before, everybody got better.
Yeah.
And I know
Isaiah Ankra is the other one from Seneca.
Came
to mind. And David Gomez.
Yeah.
St. Clair.
Gomez is all – I forgot completely. See what I'm saying? It's so many guards you could pick from in OCW. It's ridiculous. Gomez is tough because I seen he was tough the year before. He's been tough. But he's got that – that's another guy who's got that calm about him who goes at their own pace. He doesn't go super fast. He's got his own pace.
He goes to the beat of his own drum. He goes to the beat of his own drum, and I'm still surprised that he came back and played in the tournament. I don't know if he was fully healthy. I really don't. But for him to have an elbow injury against Canada and come back 3 weeks, 4 weeks later and play in the tournament at a high level, that's a gamer.
That's not easy to do. And I'm speaking from experience. When I hurt my ankle, see that's another memorable moment I have. I think when I had that high ankle sprain against Conestoga last year, and I was out for 9 games. And
came back against Fanshawe at home.
Yeah, and that was one of the worst. That was the worst injury I ever had, is a high ankle sprain, which is huge because I take my recovery serious. I take my health serious. So it was just like I was shocked for a minute, but to put in that time and get back, it's nothing sweeter than just getting back and playing. And the crazy thing is when most people don't know this, that game that I played against Fanshawe, I hadn't practiced.
That's true. Yeah,
I hadn't practiced. I'd been running, but I hadn't practiced, and I had to come back at a high level and play. That was what once, and then we go to George Brown. We win at George Brown. I get 22 points, but I get to the tournament and I run out of gas. Yeah. That's the thing about coming back on injuries early is like you get this surge, but you're gonna run out because that injury isn't healed right, and then you kind of lose it. So it's so I could see Gomez was kind of like he was hurt, might have been hurting a little bit, and
hadn't practiced much probably. Again, it's like Mike in The Last Dance when he came out of retirement in middle of March to try and get him into the playoffs and ran out of gas. Mentally, physically, emotionally exhausted because he wasn't in game shape.
Yeah, and you and they throw that burden back on you. When you're in that position of where they rely on you every night and they throw it back on you and you haven't practiced, you haven't done anything, and you're just kind of like you're just running on the fumes or the gas that you had, and you can't even reach that other gear because your body's not.
Yep.
Mentally, but not.
It's tough. Like I don't know how he did it, and how you did it last year, but all looking ahead, what are your thoughts? NBA is coming back, hopefully for you anyways. I'm not a big NBA guy, never have been. Coming back July 21st, I believe it is. Yeah. Potentially.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? I know you're a big Spurs guy. They're not in the playoffs right now. If they ended the regular season, they would be out of the playoffs.
Absolutely.
Which you said they'd probably be better for them to miss the playoffs. But kind of what are your thoughts on that coming back? Do you think they should end the regular season now where it is and go right to playoffs, or finish the regular season, which would take something like 33 days with games every day in Orlando nonstop to finish?
You know what? I think it'd be fun to watch guys play because it kind of be like basketball every day. I think it'd be fun for them. But, speaking of the NBA, like seeing them come back July 21st, if 22 teams are in it and, you see guys compete or we go straight to the playoffs, I don't really know which one is better because, we've never seen this before. So, either way, I think it'd be good to have sports back. As far as the Spurs go, I think they need to miss. But it'd be crazy because it's kind of like we're looking at the last hurrah for Greg Popovich too. So now you don't know Pop's going to leave. Is Pop coming back? What's the team? So that team, I'm actually curious to see whether that team's going to, the legendary, finally the arguably the greatest or second greatest coach of all time is finally saying, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to go live out the rest of my life, my kids, my grandkids, or am I going to try to jumpstart this one more time and then blow the team up? You know, so it's going to be interesting because I think it's going to be some serious changes coming.
Well, you see guys like Dame come out too and say if they're playing the regular season, they don't have a shot to make the playoffs. He's going to go report to the team but not play. So you also run into that issue as well too, right? If stars not playing or guys aren't.
I mean, you know, you got to look at it like you just signed a max extension to stay at home.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, say, I'm staying here whether we win or not. I'm loyal to my franchise. I love guys like that. I'm a
100%.
big Tim Duncan fan. Yep. I'm a big Dirk. You know, I love how I like seeing guys stay home and stick it out and try to win at home. You know what I mean? So it's Dame is not wrong because they're paying him $200 million to try to bring a championship. If he hurts himself, he's hurting Portland. You know what I mean? Like it's like him or CJ is like they're all that Portland has. Not all, because you have Yusuf Nurkic, who's a beast when healthy. You know, they have and you got Melo there. So why go hurt yourself and risk yourself getting injured, you know, for when your franchise needs you years down the line. And him and CJ take up like 60 to 70% of their points. So, you know, it wouldn't even be smart for Dame or CJ or Melo to play because that's their offense. That's their team. That's their franchise. Or you could end up being like, you know, I hate to say this, Derrick Rose, prime example, when you're up in the fourth quarter and your coach leaves you out there in a meaningless game.
That's true.
Career's over. Now you're getting traded. Not career's over. Sorry, the wrong word. Like your career with the Bulls gets rocked.
His prime was over.
Yeah, you're done.
He had such a bright future and injuries, and it's great to see him come back and play the way he has the last year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
But that in between of what could have been, hindsight's always 20/20. But he was on a trajectory, and MVP at what 21, I think it was, and to just plummet because of an injury that didn't need to happen.
Yep. For no reason. So it's like you're going to look at it. If they go straight back to regular season, a lot of guys might not play.
Especially those teams that aren't in the playoff picture. If they're maybe within 3-4 games, they might. But if you're way down, like 12 to 15,
they're not going to play.
You're going to have your G League teams playing.
You might as well send the whole NBA to the playoffs. You might as well.
Send all 30 teams and see what happens. Have some fun with it. And everybody's trying something new this year, right? Everything's kind of up in the air. Hockey's got 24 teams in.
Right.
Baseball, we don't know when they're even going to start, let alone have a playoff.
Nope.
NFL is going to start on time.
They don't, the owners, they don't really, they're like, we're going to start regardless. We don't care what's going on. Because they're in the fall, so they can say that.
Yeah. Yeah, they're September. They start late August, early September. They might cut out the preseason, which I'm okay with. It's meaningless anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
less injuries too.
This is the time to try something new. The NBA wants to expand, go 24 teams at least, like the NHL has.
Well, they talked about
it.
You remember they talked about it before.
Yeah.
They talked about the playoff format.
I'm all for something new. Just make it exciting, make it more interesting. But, I mean, at this point, whatever they come back with, if they're going to have games all day from 12 o'clock on, people are going to watch online because we're starving for anything.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I sat and watched German soccer with no fans. I don't watch soccer.
Oh,
I don't like soccer. It's a dive meet on grass. I sat and watched a full game. I couldn't tell you who was playing. I could tell you any names. But I watched it. And I turned it on to see what it looked like with no fans and how weird it looked. And before I knew it, the game was over.
Oh, man.
That's how hungry I am for something that I will actually enjoy watching.
You can watch some UFC and listen to the
Not a chance. Nope. All the power to people that watch that, I'm not going to watch two guys or girls beat the crap out of each other for anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes.
And you can hear every punch.
Exactly. Even worse. That hurts. Like I hurt watching that, and you've seen some of the highlights of the replays where the girl's head was like this far out.
Yeah.
They showed the before and after of how she looked.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Nightmares are made of that. But hey,
oh man,
it's all that's on right now. So maybe I'll dabble in the future.
I'll give it a try.
But I think I'll stick to German soccer over UFC fighting for now. But
a little blood never hurt anybody.
Never hurt, but it looks like it hurts. Hurts a lot. And I'm not for that. Like I'm delicate. I can't even watching that I can't do it, let alone actually doing it. Can't even fathom a thought.
I'm a peaceful human being. I don't
I'm fair. I'm delicate. Like I'm sensitive. I would lose heartbeat. I just step in the ring and just tap out and call it a day. They would look at me the wrong way, and I would just tap and quit. Before we wrap it up, you still there? You froze on me a bit.
Got some freezing going on.
Uh-oh, you're frozen on me. There you go. You're back. You still there?
Got some interference.
You still there?
Yep.
All right. Let's gonna try and wrap it up anyways. Kind of highlight what you're doing a bit in the. We lost you. You're back.
Yeah. There we go.
All right. I think it's my internet. We cut out.
There we go. We're good.
Technical difficulties. We had it last time too when your phone went off 20 seconds in. So we're doing.
Oh God! Come on.
35 minutes into this, so we're okay. Looking at kind of what you're doing now, not basketball related, kind of on the front lines with COVID in a sense. You want to talk about that briefly before we wrap everything up and go on our way?
I think working in so I work in a hospital. I'm like central transport. I'm not doing. I'm going to throw this out here. I'm not doing nearly as much work as these nurses and doctors are doing. Mm-hmm. I don't want to even. I'm going to throw that out there now. Mm-hmm. I'm not a so I don't want people to take this wrong way. So
you're doing your part.
I'm doing my part. That's it. Mm-hmm. So working there, I've learned, because we move patients to different rooms to take them to testing sites. We take them discharges. We just transport them to different parts of the hospital. Mm-hmm. And we take airborne patients. It's a term called droplet contact. We take, certain people with certain things. We pretty much transport any patient with like any type of condition. Mm-hmm. We get the proper PPE and things like that. So it's me. When I'm there, I kind of learn to be a little bit more graceful and complain less because I see a lot of people in terrible situations and it just kind of changes my perspective on a lot of the things that I might have complained about or we as a society complain about. I think we, from seeing what I've seen the last 2 months, I think we as people have to do better with, the things that we complain and worry about. Because there's people there, man, that just want to go home. And all they've seen for a long period of time is a nurse coming in and out and telling them when they can eat, when they can shower, when they can do this and when they can do that, and then interrupting their breakfast, not being able to live their normal lives because of something that they can't control necessarily as patients and people. So, like I said, I don't know what doctors and nurses deal with on a regular basis, but from my perspective as moving this, I'm not taking care of them. I'm not giving, trying to tell them that they need this. I'm not any of that. But just from my perspective, it's just like we complain too much as people about things that don't matter compared to these people who, there are people in there that can't really do anything on their own. Yep. So, and just want to go home. You know what I mean? So, it's been a change. And as far as, what I'm doing now to try to, I'm just staying ready. Staying in shape, staying ready, waiting for, when the next opportunity for basketball, if I get one. That's all I'm really just doing is just staying ready, staying prepared, focused on what I can control and what I can't control. That's really it. Anybody, when I get that call or I get that, that opportunity to say, hey, we want to see this from you. We want to see you play here. So it's just staying prepared. Yeah.
So stay ready so you can kind of get ready.
Yep. And that's the same thing. So work is something I'm not unfamiliar with. Work is what I do. I train hard in the off season, during the season. I train the same way in off season. I train the same way in season. So I've never not I was never out of shape because I do train the same way all the time. So,
Although I will say I've never seen you in the season have somebody throw heavy bags at you.
now that is new. My
Some
mom just
adjustments.
decided to. Now that's the only addition with home workouts. There's extra access to certain equipment that that you can do at
Yeah,
home.
the pro game's a lot more physical, so your mother's just getting you ready for the physicality of the pro game, wherever that may be.
And that is what we trying to do is, like I said, just simulate as much as we can. I haven't been in a gym personally since in 3 months almost. So it's like,
if you ever encounter a team that has a heavy bag thrower, you will be more than ready from your simulations at home. Someone's gonna be on the sidelines somewhere, wherever you're playing, whether it's North America, Europe. If you see someone grab a heavy bag, you're gonna be like, "That was the driveway."
I got the idea from James. I don't know if seen Jameis Winston, his off-season programs. He's kind of. I've just been looking at different people who've been doing things. Like John Morant has been holding David, him and his dad, and a couple of people he knows have been holding stuff outside. So just looking at different things that people are doing outside or wherever environment they have and getting creative with it. So that's the biggest thing, is just being creative, trying to, like I said, simulate as much as real time, real game as much as possible.
Jameis should practice throwing to his own team as opposed to others.
Yeah. I mean, he had his 30 for 30 this past season.
That's 30 for 30. ESPN should do a 30 for 30 on Jameis's 30 for 30. That writes itself.
Famous Jameis 30 for 30, 5,000.
On his 30 for 30. That's, of all people to watch workouts from, you pick a guy that threw as many interceptions as he did to touchdowns. But hey,
that was crazy.
I digress. But he's a nice guy. He took it all in stride. He took Brady coming to Tampa, taking his job in stride. So all the power to him. But it's not a good guy to take workout tips from. I mean, hey, I'm not an athlete anymore. You do what you do. You. I stay home.
Huh?
I stay home in the comfort of my own house. I don't work out.
Your Monster Energy drink.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible habit. But hey, we all have our guilty pleasures. Hey. Mine just happened to be in a can. But hey, really appreciate you doing this again. It's been, like I said, it's been almost 3 months since you spent every day in my office. So
you're just going to throw me out there, huh, Ty?
Is it not the truth?
Now, should we throw out the fact that we had a wager he did pass? I
did pass, and you did not wear any state gear. So we will have to revisit down the road. True Michigan fan could not bring himself to wear green and white.
Now we have another. Where is the poster?
Which poster?
Where's this poster at?
Well, look at all the time is gone for this episode of the podcast. The school is closed. We cannot get in. I don't know if you know we are in a pandemic still. I honestly think it's still hanging up. I think it's still hanging up in the foyer.
Yeah, I figured.
We'll have to quarantine it for 3 days.
Probably.
In a box before you can have it. We'll sanitize it, wipe it down. I don't know where you're going to put it. It's 20 feet long.
20 feet?
It's 20 feet long. It's ridiculous. It's massive. Like it's huge. We'll figure it out for you. Once we get in,
we'll figure it out.
I might hide it. Then we'll
like you hit my all-star selection. You tried to hide that too.
I did well. But again, like I said, it's been 3 months since you spent any time in my office, so it was great to catch up again, and we can do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
But all the best to you and the family. Stay healthy and keep putting in that work, and we'll see what happens post-COVID.
All right.
And watch over those heavy bags. I would up the game to 80 pounds now or 100 pounds.
Jesus.
It's going to knock you right off your feet.
Maybe 220.
200, terrible idea. That is a terrible idea.